Hi, and welcome to another in my series of conversations, Q&A sessions, and tutorials. My name is John Cornicello, and I'm going live on Mondays and Thursdays at 10 Pacific Time, 1 Eastern. Today, my special guest is Alain Gutierrez. Alain and I met in Cuba in 2014 when I visited with John Gringo and Kenna Klosterman. Alain was one of our photo guides for the trip, and we all got to be great friends over that week. I returned to Cuba in 2016 again with Alain as a guide. Since then, Alain has had some big life changes that we'll talk about. We'll also talk about street photography around the world and communicating with subjects who don't speak the same language. But before we start today, I want to mention that on Thursday, my guest will be Bobby Lane. She is one of the lighting gurus, dubbed the Mistress of Light, and recognized as one of the top photo instructors in the world. You can always go to cornicello.com/photo-qa to see the full schedule. I hope you can join us for that conversation. And one more thing, if you follow my chair project, Alain happened to be in Seattle the day I got the egg chair and was the first person to be photographed in the egg chair while it's still out in my garage. So now let's meet Alain.
Oh, hello. What? I'm in the stage right now? Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the conversation. So, how we start this?
Well, tell us a little about yourself and what's going on. Like, where are you now?
Well, as everybody knows, I'm a Cuban photographer, and I grew up in Cuba. I live all my life in Cuba, and to be here in America, I live here in America since almost 2 years ago, is a consequence of love, and is a consequence of good willing. My wife and me used to say that we are diplomats because we are making the diplomacy of love. Everywhere we go out, America and Cuba together, what is this? They say, well, this is love. This is what that is possible. And it's funny because as a Cuban, you grow up with politics. Politics is important in your life. And we learn in the school that the American government is the enemy, not the American people, the American government. And that's what you have in your mind all the time. Or they put names in people. But if you are, I'm leftist. And now I recognize here that I discovered that, oh, I'm not that leftist, I'm the liberal. So whatever, you discover that maybe the enemy is not the enemy. And how much you change your life. And it's ironic that the people who fueled my career were the Americans. So this profession is very competitive. I'm confident that I know one of the top photographers anywhere, even in Cuba, I know. But my life started changing, my career started changing since I started having relationship with the Americans. The Americans were the few people who trust totally in what I'm doing and gave me the cane to fish. You know, we have this parable about the difference between the socialist and the capitalist, that what the socialist is, well, they give you the fish to eat, and what the capitalists do, they give you the cane and you fish the fish. So I will never forget who gave me the first cane, and that was the people from Cuban Cultural Travel. Michael Sykes was the first guy who trusted me. I mean, I have a job in Cuba, people trusted me, but not all the time like Michael Sykes did. Like, oh, I like what you do, I know that you can do it better, and I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to put in contact with people that can teach you how to make it better. That never happened to me before. So what I have in my mind is, I'm so wise, I know how to do this, but I didn't. And having this relationship with the American changed totally my life. And one of the first persons that I worked with was Peter Tonley, and I learned a lot with him. And after that, I met creative like people like Kenna Klosterman and John Gringo. I was like, completely. I fell in love with Kenna, and yeah, I fell in love with Kenna and Gringo, and they become my friend. Kenna is like my sister right now, and all that influence started fueling my career. And after all this year, 5 years ago, I met my wife, which is actually my wife. and we married 3 years ago. And honestly, I'm proud of that. So I'm the consequence of the friendship. What I'm having now, what I'm living now, and I'm so proud for that. That's my legacy for my son, is to teach, and he learned that friendship is important and to trust in people is important.
So let me jump in here and let you know that any of you can feel free to unmute and ask questions and join the conversation. This conversation is among all of us, not just Alain and myself.
I'm happy to answer any question. I'm very talkative, so so that's what I'm doing. And I moved here 2 years ago. It's gonna be 2 years ago, and I've been working for an American company in Cuba. Um, I mean, my last 7 years were working with Cuban Cultural Travel, a tourist company, bringing people, Americans to Cuba. And after that, I worked for On Cuba magazine. It's an Cuban American magazine in Cuba as a director of photography. After that, I left the magazine and I moved here. And this is my best part. I founded my own company. It sounds like, but it's simple company. Last year, through Alliance Eyes, to bring people, American people, to Cuba with me in small trips, like 6 people going with me under the American rules. And I enjoy that because, guys, if you can do what you like to do.
So, I mean, one of the things I found with Alain is he seemed to know everyone in Cuba, especially in Havana. I mean, the first day we walked down the street, it was like, oh, over here, I know this person. Let's stop in here. Oh, like, there's my friend over there. Oh, there's my cousin. Then we took a boat over, and then there's my aunt. Let's go visit them. It seemed everyone already knew Alain, so made him a great tour. It wasn't just pointing out things. We got to interact with people from the very first day.
The problem is, I'm a journalist. I study journalism in the University of Havana. When you're a journalist and you're a photographer, you learn a lot about your city. And I'm very observative, and also I'm very friendly. I like people. I really like people, and I like even the hard people that other people don't like because they are like very disgusting people. I love that kind of people because in my mind, I learn from everyone, and that's what I do. I navigate in my city. I did a lot of work for free for people. People come to me and say, I need photography for my business, and I say, perfect, I can do it. How much? Nothing. Well, you can no for nothing, for free. I valorate more to have a friend and to learn from somebody than charging for something. Mm-hmm. And that was my philosophy of life in Cuba. Here, I need to change it. Sometimes, sometimes I do for free too. I mean, I'm okay with that, but I prefer that.
I'm one of those people too. I do free jobs whenever I can. I just want to help people out.
Exactly. I understand people. Yes, sir.
Alain, this is Joe. I'm just curious. Are you still doing trips to Cuba now, or is that no longer possible?
Yes, it's possible. The problem is that right now you can travel to Cuba.
Right. Well, aside from the virus, I guess, politically, yes. Is it still possible to take groups to Cuba?
Yes, sir. You have, the government have a category that is supporting the Cuban people. What happened with the new administration, they take out one of the subcategory that was people to people. But the only thing that changed that you can support the Cuban government and you have to be interacting with Cuban people most of the time. So that's what I provide. My program is is organized like interacting all the time with Cuban. Even I have dinner in my family house with my son and his mother and things like that. And we travel to another city and we stop in the way in a farm and try to support people as much as I can. But that means that you cannot go to the beach. That's crazy. But you have beautiful beaches there and forget about that. You cannot stay in a hotel, so you're going to stay in a house. But you know what? Even what that's very unfortunate that American can do tourism in Cuba, at the same time, it's very smart because the American tourists, visitors become a different kind of tourist. You learn when you are in my country. Usually the Europeans or people from South America, they go to a hotel, the Canadians, they go to a hotel, to a resort, they stay in a resort in Varadero, and they don't know anything about the country. They don't eat Cuban food, they don't know people, they don't enjoy the real music, they don't know real people, they don't know anything because they have what they have in the hotel. You as an American and all these regulations, you go to Cuba, you meet real people, you eat real food, you visit the families, you support dancers, you go to places that nobody else go or the tourists don't go because this is not touristic. And what you see is the authentic Cuba, because it's not like in a hotel that they bring you a group of dancers to make a show for you. No, you go to the place where they make their own rehearsal. You get into the houses. You know, that's really good. It's funny because I'm a Cuban. I used not to travel to Cuba. We are not famous for being travelers. But I had the opportunity to travel to different countries, and I enjoyed that. When I go outside, I went this last year to Asia, 4 different countries, and we hire people like me to bring us to the places. And you as a photographer, that's the best way to know a country. You walk with a local photographer, you support this local photographer, and you know the real people. You interact with people. So makes sense what I'm saying?
Sounds great. Yeah, it sounds like the best way to learn about a new place. Yeah.
So what can be a legal barrier for the Americans traveling to Cuba become in a great opportunity to meet the real culture of the country. Mm-hmm. And that's amazing. I mean, in my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Jean, do you have something?
Yes. Hi, Alain, Jean Bear.
I remember you, of course.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Alain and I met 7 years ago. The first time that John Gringo and Kenna brought a trip down to Cuba, and when I met John Cornicello too. And boy, I can be a testimonial to exactly what he was saying. You know, Alain took us all of these places. We met his friends and his relatives and all. Oh my. Met all of these people that he knew that were just local people and supported the local economy and had such a great time with them. So what he's saying is exactly right. I'm going to mute myself so I can cut down on the noise.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah.
So, Alain, you mentioned going to China last year.
I did it. It was a great opportunity. My mother-in-law was her birthday, and she said, "Oh, the best way that I have to do this is to invite you to a cruise ship, all the family." Yeah. So my father-in-law passed away 2 years ago. It's just crazy because my mother, I married in 2017, and in May, in December 21, my mom passed away. My wife came down to Cuba. And when we engaged in December 27. We were in the dinner and we received a phone call that my father-in-law passed away. That was crazy. So 6 days difference. Wow. It was insane. And he was a great man. We have a great relationship. Even in the short time that we met, I love that guy. And he's always wanted to visit Asia, and that was a great opportunity. And he said, well, in homage to him also, we would celebrate his life going to Asia. And I had the opportunity to go to Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Hong Kong. And
did you speak any of those languages?
9.
No.
No.
You speak a couple of languages. So what is it like to go out and do street photography and communicate with people that you don't understand or don't understand you?
We hire people in that places, like local photographers, to be with us and to bring us around. I'm very proud of that because it's like hiring myself. You know, it is karma. You do to other people what you want to do with you. And I'm happy to spend the money paying somebody else to bring me around. But there is a universal language, and it's the smile. And when you are honest, when you don't hide yourself, you're on a camera outside, you're taking photos, and you don't hide your camera, you look directly to the people's eyes and smile and say, like, going to take this, and they feel that, and that's a universal. You don't need to know to learn the language. Of course, I understand there is culture that they don't like that, but you learn that with the local people. They are the guys, the ones who grab you by your hands and said, this is what you can do, this is what you can do. And it was for me an amazing opportunity. Also, to be in Vietnam was very important for me because I'm come from a social country, and Vietnam is a social country. And what I saw there was mind blowing because they have a different economy than we have, and that was shocking. You know, it's like all my friends in Cuba were sending me messages. What about Vietnam? What about Vietnam? Oh, see the photos. See the photo. No, but tell me what about Vietnam? And Vietnam was like, it's a place that I had to go back. But yes, as a photographer, you have this. It's like a universal key that you can open many doors. But you have to be honest. You have to be humble with the people. You have to be humble with the people to people, and people will let you do more.
Yeah, so Larry's asking in the chat, how does one find and hire a local Cuban photographer to do translations and tour leading?
So there is places in
you just hire Alain.
yeah, you can hire me.
And Kenna. I mean, they both...
I give you the full package, and Kenna, of course. But yes, in TripAdvisor you can find like the call experience with Cuban photographers. You know, and you hire these people and you walk with them for 3 hours, 4 hours. The same that I did in Asia, and they do that for you. Mm-hmm. So I mean, Sean, this is like a commercial, but if you do it with me, you also have more.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly,
a bunch of us here can attest to working with Alain as our tour. I mean, we all fell in love with him right away, and you know, we continue our friendship now. So Alain,
I have Gary here too. Gary was in my last trip to Cuba.
Not only was it the last trip, but it was the last trip you had taken because the virus hit right when we were there. And there were so many rumors, it was so scary, but Alain was calm and cool about everything and made us feel like we were safe, and we made sure that everybody got off the island safely as well. So highly recommend him for a variety of reasons.
So Alain, do you have some photos you want to share with us?
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm going to show you something that I'm trying to be easy. Well, let me show. Wait a minute. Easy in the mean that I'm going to show you the photos that I prepared for Instagram. So this year. So can you see that?
Yes.
So every year I make my Instagram folder by year. And let me tell you the story. I'm on Instagram because of Kenna and Susan. We did a road trip around Cuba, and they put this bug inside me. So, are you on Instagram? No, I don't understand Instagram. What? They were mugging of me and putting like the finger, and we said that's a spreadsheet, Cuban spreadsheet, to put the finger like this. And I made my own Instagram account. I really appreciate that. So now I'm learning a little bit more and more about Instagram. And what I'm having here is a folder of my photos into the photo that I posted on Instagram this year. As you can see, I'm obsessed with metadata. I'm teaching now in the AU. That's another story. There's a great thing. American University. I'm teaching a course of digital photography, and the students laugh at me because all the time I'm wrong. Remember, don't forget your metadata. Don't forget your metadata. So I'm going to show you at least my photo from Cuba. So I have these photos from Cuba, and let me. This is the photo that you're seeing here. I took it this year in Cuba. Oh no, sorry, not this year, but I post this year. So I made a collection of dogs. This is this photo is in Cabo Cruz, is the southernmost point of Cuba. I did this trip with Michael Bonacor, and this was this year. This is crazy how people transport it. People in Cuba are very original, very humble. People in Cuba like to be photographed. You know, they like to be photographed. They are not shy, and it's easier. Oh, this is the family thing. This is my son in the center. But sorry. but you can have an idea. We have a dinner at this house, for example. This is a typical family dinner, birthday, and it's crazy because my wife was surprised that this woman here in this stream is my son's teacher. It's like, do you invite your teacher to your party when there are 15 years old and they're drinking or whatever? So this is things that you can find in Cuba. This is in school. You can sneak your head inside the school, and the teacher is so nice that you want to take photos. So try to do this in Cuba, in America. Please, we know that this is impossible. You know, we know that this is something that we can do. And I love this photo because it's the gear power. She won several times. The guy never beat him with her. So this is Havana. I honestly, I love my city. This is something that for me is like, this is my reason of life. This people are so authentic. You can even, I didn't do this, but you can see this couple like in a romance situation, and you go closer to them and you smell and say kiss or un beso, and they can kiss for you. Go for that, and they're happy to do it. So this is interesting. This is happening here in Havana, but I saw this in Asia. So for me, it's like, no, like it's not shocking now anymore. But see, this is same time. Oh, this is a beautiful story. I saw a group of mariachis walking down the street, and I told my wife, this is gonna be interesting. They are going to sing somewhere. So they start making a serenade. You call it serenade, right?
Yeah.
In Spanish, it's serenata, to a woman in the house. And at some point, they get into the house and we get in there. There was a group of people, totally strangers. They get into the house and they invite the people. Yes, of course, get in there. And we get, and they have rum and they share their rum with you. So this is kind of thing that happened in Cuba. You know, it's amazing. And people enjoy that. This is my Mother's Day photo. So it's I have more, of course, but I'm just showing what I did mostly this year in Cuba. I love this. This is a bolero. And it's safe. In Cuba, it's safe to walk at night, for example. You walk at night everywhere and people are nice. And if you're an American, they say, where do you come from? No, America. America, my friend. Mm-hmm. And they give you coffee, rum. You want to get it? And you go to their houses and you join. This is my mom. This is my wife. Take, this is my daughter. And you chart, they give you the daughter. And it's like crazy. So how you can think that we are the enemy? We are not the enemy. I mean, we know you are not the enemy. I'm Cuban.
Alain and John, I just want to second that. As a female traveler, I've traveled to over 50 countries, and I haven't felt as safe as I do traveling in Cuba. And whether that's times when I'm by myself there or what have you. So it's incredibly safe. Alain, I did want to ask you a question for folks that have not heard the stories about you working for Emerald, and what did that change for your career as well?
Thanks. I was going to bring that up.
Oh, there you go, John. Sorry, you know me. I just start going with the questions.
Yes, please do.
Okay. I when I was working for on Cuba magazine, this magazine, I asked them to ask for allow me to have a column about a culinary column, and I started making a culinary column in Cuba. There was like make an interview of a chef, and I post a recipe, and I realized that I really really like that because I started having a relationship with the cooks in Cuba, the chef in Cuba. I start meeting a lot of restaurants, and I do this job for free. That I had advertising for free, but I was learning, and I get involved with this. And when I start traveling in my country, I start getting recipes and getting information from people and taking photos of the food and taking photos of the people who cook. And I had a friend in California. She asked me to help her to do a survey in all the restaurants in Havana for a book, and I made that, and people started knowing me. And I have a lot of information, and I have a lot of content in Havana for the restaurant, and doing that for free. So that was very useful. And someday I remember I received an email from somebody from the Oley Brothers production company, and they said, we are making a series from Emily Lagasse around the world, and we want you to help us to find information and to organize the show in Cuba. And I wrote my girlfriend at that time, now is my wife, said, oh, these people are sending me this message. Who's Emily Lagasse? They said, oh, if you don't do that, you are crazy. Even do it for free. I say, okay. And they came to Cuba with an idea. They sent the producer before with an idea what they want. And I said, oh, that's wrong. That's a lie. This is not true. This is not that. Because I know my people. I know what I'm doing. And I brought him to a fur pig farm outside Havana. I brought him to a restaurant that they love, Ajiaco Cafe. One of the places that you go with me to Cuba, you will have dinner there.
Yeah, we had a great dinner there.
Yeah, they have the cocktail dinner that is
Yes.
amazing.
One of the interesting things is Alain and I started talking about doing this interview. I called him a foodie, and he said, "No, I'm not a foodie. I don't consider myself a foodie." But
No, I'm not a foodie. I like food, but I'm not a foodie. And that was amazing because they came. Emily came. Emily is a super nice person. It's like an uncle. Like you have an uncle, a nice uncle. That's Emily Lagasse. Emily and Aaron Sanchez. And I was in charge to bring Emily around to have dinner and lunch. I mean, depending on if we go to a restaurant for lunch, that's usually what we did. They have lunch, but they have dinner. And I brought him to different places. And that was, I really enjoyed that. I really, really enjoyed that. And when I saw his face eating in places, and honestly, I brought him to places that they said, well, okay, we are going to a restaurant. The name is Chanchullero in my neighborhood. It's a restaurant for people, no foreigners there. And I hope that you like it. I said, okay, let's go there. The service was super bad, bad service. But this guy loved the food. He said, I love this. Okay, you love this. So, but again, who trusted me? Americans. They trusted me, and I never had that before, like that way in my country. It's crazy. I mean, I'm not angry with my people there, but it's ironic that the enemy is the one to open the door. Yes.
Alain, I have a question. With you living in the United States now, have you been able to keep your Cuban citizenship, or how does the Cuban government view this? Are you okay with, how does that work?
So as a Cuban, you have the right to go to be outside your country for 2 years without losing any rights. But I came here as a resident, but I didn't lose anything in my country. I have my apartment there, my family. I have my Cuban ID. I need to use my Cuban passport to get in to travel. That's something that you don't. Even if you live in the 80s, you go back to Cuba and you're Cuban, you have to have a Cuban passport. That's something wrong. People are fighting for that. People are trying to change that. But I have everything in Cuba. I don't feel like a stranger in my country anymore. I'm learning different. I sometimes I like it, and this is something that happened to all the immigrants. When you go back to your country, you feel like you are living in a gelatin. I don't know if that's the expression, but you are like a zombie. So you are like believing another reality, recognizing that that was your reality for a long time, but at some point you don't match, and you see things like, oh, I don't know, this is different, but you don't want to be gross with the people. You want to offend the people, but at the same time, it's like losing your place there. Sometimes I feel that.
It must seem a little strange, a little unbalancing, unsettling.
Yes, and this the way that I find to try to avoid that is to help my people, but not helping my people like I'm a god and I want to solve your problems. No, I want to do with my people what people like Michael Sykes, like Ken Acosta and John Gringo did with me, is to trust in people and give them opportunities. It's like I have a driver. I have a driver. He's my friend, but he worked with me. Like I said, I have a driver, and it's Joel. And I love when I have people who ask me for help to go into Cuba, and the first thing person that I think about is Joel. Joel is my friend, but I'm helping the Cuban people. I don't want to lose that contact with the people. I want to lose the identity that I am. When I'm in Cuba, same. I'm dressed different in Cuba, simple. Usually it's funny because it's cultural. The Cubans like to be flashy in Cuba. I try to dress as most simple as I can. Every time that I travel, I bring gifts for my neighbors because I feel it. But also it's the way to help myself to feel that I still belong to that place. Because there is no other way in the future. As long as I live here, I'm going to feel more identified with this culture, and I'm going to have more elements of this culture in my personality. And I'm a little bit worried about that,
Yeah. You don't want to lose your Cubanness.
No, I course in Spanish here all the time.
So on our last trip to Cuba, Alain, you hooked us up with a photo school there. That was one of the real big highlights of our trip. Can you tell us more about the school? Is it still going on?
Yeah, this is the Academia de Fotografías Cablares del Valle. That legally they had to change the name. So, Casa de la Fotografía, or a photography house, because legally in Cuba you cannot have an academy. Yeah, close. And that's an amazing place. This is run by a couple of guys. They are partners in the real life. I wish that one day they can get married. It's Ramon and Rufino, and really nice people. Rufino was my teacher when I was in college, and they made this school where everybody goes there to learn about photography in a garage. And that's beautiful. They do the best that they can. They bring stuff, the small resources they have. They use it in the school to have a projector, to have like cameras or a nice computer, whatever. And I remember one day, Ken Acosta gave me a hard drive with creative light classes. And said, this is classes for you. And I said, you know what? I'm going to copy the classes that I would need, but we should bring this to the school. And I was thinking that was the best thing that we did together to bring that classes to the school. Because we have a university of arts that they have a photography school, but it's more about photography for films and TV, but we had not like a photography school itself. even in the University of Arts. They had photography classes, but not in the university, like in a school of photography. So now there are some photography schools that they work in houses, like Escuela Fotográfica de La Habana, de Fotografía Creativa de La Habana, the Academy of the House of the Photographer Cabrales del Valle, and there is another professor. The name is Chino Arcos, or the Chinese Arcos. It's another. They are like people teaching in some place. It's not like an institution.
Right. And one of the exciting things about it was people of all ages. It wasn't like a kid, when you think school kids, there was people in their 60s in there.
Exactly.
People in their teenagers in there. The time we went, we partnered up with them. We all met, and we got, for each of us, met with 2 Cuban photographers, and we just walked the streets for hours with them, and then eventually met up at the school later that day to share photos and have a pig roast and just have a wonderful time. And
Yeah.
a number of friends that I still keep in touch with from that trip.
That was a Ken idea. She said, "Why don't we make couples? We partner the Cuban photographers with the American photographers." Yeah, I think that's great. Of course, the pig was my idea.
Got it from the same place for the one for Emerald, correct?
Yeah. But I honestly, I enjoy what I'm doing. This is my joy. And
You're always full of joy.
there is no other way to escape from the reality, you know.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, all of us gonna be dead. You know, we're not. And that's a good point. Yeah, you know that you're going to end dead. So try to do it better. Why not to do it better? Why not to laugh? You know, I'm honestly, again, going back, this profession is very competitive. In Cuba, it's very competitive too. I learned something. I have friends that they are like super disgusting people. People are fighting. Who's the best? Who's not? They try to be mean with you. And I'm like covering soap and everything's light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. And they don't get it. Sometimes they don't get it. So why? I'm telling you the worst things in the world and you don't. I don't care. You need to understand. You need to be like together. This is something to build. We are here to build something. We are not to destroy anything. And if you can do it, we have people that can do that. I just one brick. That's what I visualize myself. I'm just a brick, you know, in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a brick. And I want to be a good brick. That's it.
We're all bricks in the wall supporting each other.
Exactly. What you're doing, for example, right now, man, this is amazing. You're opening me a door.
Good.
And I enjoy that. I enjoy that. So
Anyone else want to join in? Any other questions for Alain? Feel free to unmute.
Alain, this is Joe again. Are you selling photographs right now, or it sounds like are you more of a tour guide, or are you more of a photographer, or are you both? I'm
a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And to be a tour guide was the consequence of the Americans. So I was the last option for a friend, to have a friend, to work with him, and I'm doing this. And I'm a photographer. That's my life. And I'm very lucky that I'm working right now in the United States as a photographer. You know, it's this. I have that privilege. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I can't deny that. The tours is part of my life because when you go with me to a tour in Cuba, you're going to take photos. Even when it's an experience that you can sell as a tour or as a photographer experience, it's a cultural experience. It's designed for photographer. So I'm a photographer full time.
I guess the question being asked though, do you ever sell prints? Do you have an online store or anything like that?
I had no online store, but I'm open. If anyone visits my Instagram or my website and like any photo and send me a message back, oh, I like this photo and I print it, perfect. Of course, I sold some prints when I was working in tours to people. I printed Cuba. I sold my wedding background was a photo of a car with the Cuban flag and the American flag together in an old-fashioned car, and I sold it. I hang it in a restaurant. I sold it printed in canvas. You can see in my website.
How about
But
your book?
I have a book also that I made by myself in
Blurb?
Blurb. Yeah, exactly. You know more about myself than me. But I mean, I would love to sell my book, but I don't think I need the publisher
Yeah,
for
we should
that.
put a link to your Instagram into the chat for people.
Yeah. I can write my Instagram here, right here. I know that I have a lot of questions here. It's like, if you
When you take a group to Cuba, how many people do you normally take with you?
6. Why 6? It's a better experience. If you bring 10 people or 16 people, you're not having fun. 6 people is better for photographer because you don't get into other people's photos. It's easy to move in the country. You don't need that much resources. It's easy to find solutions. Cuba is a place that it's not like America. You can find what you want. You need to go with the flow, and you need to find solutions in the way. Well, Gary can tell you, we have this situation with the coronavirus there. The first hotspot was in the city where we were, and we changed everything. Say, we are not going to have dinner. We are going to have like a dinner at home, or we are going to ask these people in the house to cook for us. So you cannot find, under this new regulation, you cannot find a house easily that have like 15 rooms, but you can find 2 houses close to each other that have 3 and 3, you know? And it try to be aligned with the reality in the country. And technically, yes, it's better if you have less people around you taking photos.
Yeah, I think what the Cuban F word was flexible.
Sorry?
The Cuban F word is flexible.
The Cuban effort? What do you mean?
Flexible, right? Be able to change on a moment's notice.
Yes. If you go to Cuba, you have to be aware that you have a plan, but you have to be flexible to change your plan anytime. Anytime. You don't know what is going to happen. So you need to say this. You don't bring credit card. You can use any credit card in Cuba. You cannot find like Pepto-Bismol in the pharmacy. You have to bring what you have. You have to forget about your connectivity, no internet. I mean, yes, we had internet. I take care that people have internet, but it's nothing that you have all day, all the time. And you have to live with less than you have usually per words. It's like a healing, you know? It's like and meeting nice people. And if you travel with a group of 6 people and you make friends, like our last trip, for example, my most recent trip with Gary, we made a great team. Everybody was so happy. Everybody was so familiar with each other. And you enjoy that. You really, I promise you will enjoy that. Mm-hmm. No other questions. I like questions.
Alain, John Tynes here. Is your focus mostly urban and city environments? I like photographing birds, and Cuba is a stopping point in the migration from South America to North America. And I'm sure migration gets probably pretty rich in Cuba. Are you able to focus on that, or at least connect photographers with that opportunity there?
My personal work is focused on street photography.
Right.
Okay. Unfortunately for you, that's something that you can do in Cuba. Why? Under the rules, you cannot go to places like that because all places like have like the natural environments like national parks are controlled by the army. So going to places like that is considered tourism, and you have to deal with companies that are belong to the army. So unfortunately, no. If you go to places like Trinidad, you can see birds. But let me tell you something. Here in DC, or here in America, you have more chance to see birds and see the environments than in Cuba.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, for Cuba. I mean, unfortunately for Cuba, yes. You have to go to different places, and it's controlled by the government and mostly by the army. So I'm sorry, but I would love that you join one day.
No, that's fine. I mean, we had the opportunity during my 10-day trip to spend a day in the mountains. They're in the what is it? The Colonia Mountains. They're on the south side of the island, and we got the dragon and some of the hummingbirds, but it was very brief, and I was happy with it. But you know, it's an amazing country. There's so many different things to see, but a lot of it was focused in cities, Havana and Cienfuegos and Trinidad and what's the one on what is it, Santa Clara?
Santa Clara.
Yes, and we went through there. We spent very little time there, but it was fun.
I'm going to quote a friend that is today here in the chat, that he said that your country have many countries in one country. We travel around the Esquena. We travel around the island, and every city is a different country.
Mm-hmm.
I never noticed that. I think that happened to everyone in your own country. You never notice that until you have somebody else from an outsider to notice that and tell you, oh, this is what happened here. And she noticed that, and that's true.
Yeah, I mean, there's all the different provinces. It is such a long island, and so the landscape changes, you know, as you enter each of the provinces. But one of the things I really enjoyed was noticing that the bicycle taxis, like they had different style in each of the provinces, and so it was, you know, and of course, just like our states in the United States, the food can change, change in terms of just way on the far east, they have different recipes than, you know, way in the far west. So just thinking about seeing the way that you drive through different parts is so beautiful and interesting.
You know, something that I would like to do with people, with a group, is to bring a group of people to Guantanamo. Exactly, to Baracoa. You know who Emilio Salgari was? The writer who wrote the Captain Grandsons, Sandokan. I mean, it was an Italian writer. He wrote books in the 19th century about adventures mostly for kids in that time. And that area is like a Salgari book. It's like mountains, clear rivers, beaches, and really, really good food. The north of Guantanamo is a place where you can spend a week taking photos, feeling super good, eating very well, going to the easternmost point of the island, seeing a lot of different landscapes, and bringing back a lot of thousands of nice photos. That's a great adventure.
Supporting the Cuban people.
And supporting the Cuban people, because we stay in houses, we eat in the houses.
Yeah.
It's like.
And maybe you'll see some birds out there.
Yes,
more
for
so
sure.
In Baracoa more so than anywhere else.
Yes, yes, definitely, yes.
Yeah, George has a great question over in the chat. So with not being able to photograph birds because they would be considered tourism, is it possible to get many opportunities to photograph vintage cars? Perhaps meet people, photograph them working on their vintage cars. And yes, in the streets. People are working on their cars all the time. I've got some great photos of people working
Let
on their
me.
cars. Kenna has
Can
a
I show you? Can I show you something?
sure.
Let me show you something. Well, this is the cars where we move in. So you like vintage car? You have this you have this opportunity with this car to take photos, and we go to places with everywhere we're gonna go with there. That's amazing, George.
But yeah, just in Havana itself, every corner there's cars being worked on and people showing you their cars. They're so proud of them. There's cars that are all original parts, and then there's cars with new drivetrains that have been added with diesel engines and the like. So you find a beautiful '57 Chevy with a Toyota drivetrain in it. I
Yeah.
mean, they're just amazing, amazing at fixing things and creating things and making parts out of nothing.
Okay, one question or not?
Do you have
Yeah.
tours? Do you have tours scheduled in the future? Assuming that you can get them?
I have to be honest with you. I'm probably will have next tour next year. Why? For different reasons. We have the virus right now. Cuba already is in a deep crisis. There is no supplies for people. That's one of the things that worry me the most. Many of the restaurants are closed, but anyhow, you cannot get anything right now. We have the blockade that you call embargo. We call it blockade. We can deal with anyone. We can trade with anyone, mostly anyone. We cannot trade with America that is close to us. There is also an internal blockade that government policy that make it's hard to change for them to turn their mentality, produce more. But anyhow, it's a reality. Right now, I don't think it's gonna be able to do a trip this year, probably next year. I need to wait until the country open again, see what happened, what's the reality, because I honestly I cannot bring anyone with me there, and we have to stop the trip in the middle because we can't have food or we can be in an accommodation. I'm sure the next time that we can do it is gonna be like a blossom because everyone is gonna be waiting for the opportunity to make some money. We are going to find more opportunities. If you follow me on my Instagram, I will put advertising there. I will tell there. I will be announcing future trips. Honestly, onto the next year. It's sad for me because it's a way to survive. It's my business.
Yeah.
But maybe Madonna wants to hire me now, and
Gene, did you have something you wanted to ask there?
I was just going to say that image that you just showed of the two older cars out in the country, in the hundreds of photos I've seen of older Cuban cars, I've never seen one in the country, because all tourists, they all go to Havana. Those of us who went on that first trip, we stayed mostly in Havana, except for the trip out to Vinales. And so that was, to me, such an unusual photograph. It was so good to see them out in a rural part of the country. So that was fun.
you know what? That's a teamwork. Gary can tell you the story because we stopped before we went to visit the farm. Very humble people on the farm in the way to Trinidad. And I stopped the car there and said, "Oh, Clay, this is a setup." I'm going to be honest with you.
Nice.
That's a setup.
It's nice.
I'm not breaking the magic. I just inside a backstage story. But we stopped.
Those are the cars that you're actually traveling in.
Right.
Exactly.
Everybody's traveling
Not in a bus.
Not in the bus like we had to in the beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we travel in that cars, and so we just stopped the car. We had a landscape of mountains. I said, "This is a beautiful place for take photos of landscape," because they were burning like sugarcane fields, and you have like smoke in the horizon. And we take some photos of that, and I said, "Oh, this is a beautiful location also for car photos." And I asked them to line up the cars in front of us. So they moved the car and they put it there. They are amazing drivers, honestly.
Beautiful.
Do the
Yeah.
cars have air conditioning?
Oh, yes. But you know what? I have to be honest with you. As a photographer, I don't like to travel with air conditioning in my car, especially in Cuba, because you need to close your windows. And you lose the opportunity to take photos outside. And what is happening outside, that's the point. What you see outside, you're not going to see it again. That's not happening, just in front of your eyes. That's it. You have no rewind. This is not Netflix, it's the reality. So,
Larry has a good question here. If you're going to Cuba, are there things that you could bring for people or schools?
yes, we went to a rural school with 8 kids only. We brought pencils, crayons. Gary brought and his wife brought some towels, like pop-up towels. I don't know, and crayon and coloring books. Yes, they brought also this time solar lanterns, clothing for the kids in the farm, anything. I have a story of a friend. They have a friend in America, and this friend in America asked him, "What do you need from here?" And the guy said, "Anything." He said, "No, tell me, what do you need from here?" He said, "Okay, let's do this. Blindfold your eyes." Put a blindfold. That's the expression.
Yeah.
Blind your eyes in front of the market. Get in there. Walk in the halls. Stop whatever you want. Grab something. I need it. So we had nothing. If you ask me right now, in my next trip, what I would like to bring, I would like to bring something for the farmers, something useful, belts, like what they put in the boots for, I don't know the name in English, the silver thing, and they call it silver, for spiking the horses. They use the cowboy hats for that people, useful things, medicine for that people, because they live isolated in a road. And guys, the smile of that people, when you look at them and they smile and they appreciate what they're bringing, the kids in the school, pencils, we brought pencils, and they were so happy. Simple things, try to make the life of the people easier. We have leftovers here, and every year my wife cleaned her closet and said, "Okay, we're bringing this to Cuba," and we donate it to people. We bring it to people there, so we can do this.
And I think the key is finding the people to give it to as well. So that's really you don't want to bring a bunch of stuff and give it to somebody that you don't know where it's actually going to end up. There are many tricky and complicated things in Cuba. And so, like Alain said, giving it directly to, I always look to Alain to tell me where should we give what to people. I mean, and even things like socks. I mean, a woman cried when I gave her socks for her community. Camera gear, we bring camera gear to the school that Alain mentioned earlier in terms of donating, things that we don't use necessarily anymore. Although that being said, now, a lot of people do have like their mobile phones and are using those for photography as well. So mobile phones are also something to bring down as long as they can work there.
Cindy said that people ask mostly for soap and ball pens. Yes, ballpoint pens. Yes, true. So, for example, this time we are waiting until they open the country. When they open the country, we're going to bring it down like soap, toothpaste for the family. We have a huge family there, so we're going to bring that. But in the trips, it's good that you bring things that you think that can help. If you have camera gear that you want to donate to anyone, if you have, for example, I have friends that they send me a 7200 lens.
Wow.
And I found yes, it's crazy, right? I found a girl that I know that she do sport photography, and I was searching in the internet on my friends who have what's a Nikon camera, Nikon lens. So who have the Nikon camera and do this, and I was searching, I saw the friend that said, oh, she needed. You have a camera for this? Yes, I have it. I brought the lens to her. I took a photo of her with the lens. I put in contact this guy with her, and she's now taking photos of sport with that lens.
Great.
So I'm trying to do that because I think of myself when I was time ago, when I have nothing, and I would like to have somebody to help and help for free. Again, building a community,
Yeah,
building
Larry's
people.
asking if there's any problem with customs or getting things in.
Depending what you bring. I mean, you bring 2 computers, they're going to stop you. If you bring like 75 cameras, yes, they're going to stop you. So you have to be, you cannot tell that you're bringing donations. You're bringing gift, you know? Maybe you don't bring like 200 soap, but you have 20 soap with you. Perfect. You know, socks, a couple of dozen of socks, that's okay. All clothing for kids, like it's a gift. You put it there. You know, camera, maybe you bring your 2 cameras, but you bring another camera, or you bring a camera bag, an all camera bag, that's okay. Things like that, but not like don't bring a drone, for example, that's forbidden in Cuba.
Mhm.
They take it away. Don't bring like wireless microphones. No. They take it, no bring walkie-talkies. No. But think about useful things, that everyday things. For a farmer, honestly, I would like to sponsor these farmers. That's something that I have in my mind. Like, I'm not officially saying that I'm sponsoring this guy, but I would like to sponsor these guys. Because I think in my family. When I was in my family, now family far as I live all in America, but they live in a farm. Just think about what they need, what is useful for them. A pair of boots.
Cool. Well,
Yes.
we're at the top of the hour. Does anyone else have anything else they want to add right now? We want to keep going, or?
I actually need to leave, but thank you so much. It was awesome to join in, and just highly encourage people to go to Cuba with Alain. So,
Thank you for joining us.
okay, thank
Great to have
you.
here.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye, Kenna.
Love you too. Bye.
Alain, I was just going to say thank you so much for doing this. Even just seeing the few pieces of work that we got to see of yours, it just brings tears to my eyes because I'm a street photographer too. And it just, your work is so beautiful. I love seeing it. So good for you. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep taking your beautiful images because you bring such heart and soul to what you do, and it just encourages me to keep shooting too. So thanks so much for just being yourself.
Thank you very much, honestly. I appreciate that.
I want to just comment on the orange shirts and beards today. I guess some of us got the notice.
Hey guys, I got to cut out too, but Alain, thanks for doing this, man. It was great chatting with you, and John, thanks for putting these things on. It's really great.
Sure. And as a reminder, I'm trying to be on every Monday and Thursday at 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern with different photographers. If I don't have a photographer, I'll do a lighting tutorial of some sort, studio lighting. So yeah, always check in. It's cornicello.com/photo-QA for the schedule.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Gene. It's good to see you again. Miri.
Thank you, John.
Y'all be safe.
Well,
Thank you, John
Bye.
and Elaine.
gonna
Thank you
stop.
both.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.